crystal blades, golden tongues, alien skulls, secret chambers. Egypt's not done shocking us. What did they uncover this time? Beneath the sands of Egypt lies a secret that's baffled explorers, archaeologists, and researchers for decades. Everyone knows the surface of the Giza Plateau, the pyramids, the Sphinx, the ancient tombs. But deep below it, hidden from tourists and kept away from the spotlight, is something far stranger. What some call a buried city. A vast, mysterious underground network carved right into the bedrock. This isn't some rumor whispered in back rooms. In the 1990s, Egyptian authorities allowed limited exploration under Giza. What was found shocked even seasoned experts. Chambers, tunnels, and entire stone-lined shafts, some stretching down more than 100 feet beneath the surface. Early explorers using ground-penetrating radar found long, horizontal corridors and voids that didn't match anything documented. One British team even claimed to have found a complete multi-level system with hallways leading in several directions, completely untouched. Some believe these tunnels are thousands of years older than the pyramids themselves. If that's true, who built them, and for what? There's almost no inscription, no clear cultural markers. Just long, cold passages that seem designed to go unnoticed. Even stranger, there's a complete media blackout on the topic today. Independent researchers trying to revisit the tunnels are often denied permits. Some say the Egyptian government, alongside international institutions, is sitting on something massive. Something that could rewrite everything we know about civilization's origins. In one case, explorers described finding a sealed underground chamber filled with ancient air, untouched for thousands of years. They were ordered to stop digging, cameras were taken, no official records were released. Since then, whispers of a subterranean city have only grown louder. Why would anyone go to such lengths to hide an underground complex? Why is no one allowed to continue the excavations openly? These questions hang heavy over Giza, right below the feet of millions of visitors. To this day, much of what lies beneath Egypt's most famous site remains locked away in silence. Roughly 150 miles south of Cairo in the El Minya region, archaeologists uncovered a tomb that seemed like hundreds of others, until they reached the final chamber. Inside was a skeleton with a skull that defied easy explanation. Its proportions were off-elongated, with a smooth cranial dome and oddly large eye sockets. Immediately comparisons were drawn to the famously long-headed mummies of Paracas in Peru, but this one was in the heart of Egypt. Researchers were quick to suggest cranial deformation, an ancient practice where skulls were intentionally shaped during infancy. But here's the twist. No signs of binding were found. No pressure marks, no tool marks. Just a naturally fused, elongated skull, unlike any others in the region. It was buried alone, in a chamber surrounded by strange symbols carved directly into the stone. Not typical hieroglyphs, but abstract spirals and grid patterns that didn't match known Egyptian writing. The tomb itself was even more curious. Sealed tight, untouched for possibly 2,000 years, with no indication of royal affiliation. Yet the burial was done with precision. Whoever this individual was, they were important, but not Egyptian in the traditional sense. Some fringe theorists believe this could have been a foreign envoy, possibly even part of a forgotten elite race that predated dynastic Egypt. Others whisper something wilder, a non-human entity, honored and hidden. Is this skull proof of ancient contact with beings unknown, or a genetic anomaly buried with great care? The mystery deepens when you consider that the Egyptian authorities quickly sealed off the site. Photos leaked, but no formal reports followed, no museum displays, just silence. It's as if someone doesn't want us looking too closely. Just east of where the El Minya skull was found, back at the Giza Plateau, another enigma has kept researchers guessing for decades. The Sphinx, already wrapped in legend, may not be what we think it is. Beneath its paws lies a chamber, confirmed by multiple ground-penetrating radar scans, including a famous one by the Stanford Research Institute in the 1990s. The data revealed hollow spaces and corridors that shouldn't be there, yet they are. And they've never been excavated. Why not? That's the question that bothers everyone. The official line claims there's nothing of interest. But if that's true, why block access for over 30 years? Some researchers believe these chambers could be part of the same underground network as the Great Pyramid, possibly even connected to the lost subterranean city itself. Others go further, saying the chamber contains an ancient archive, possibly from a pre-flood civilization. The legendary Hall of Records, written about by mystics and seers for centuries. In 1996, the Egyptian Antiquities Authority allegedly denied permits to a team that wanted to drill into the chamber, citing risk of damage, but insiders claimed the real reason was pressure from international interests, and whatever lies beneath was already quietly explored and sealed again. What could be inside? A sarcophagus? Advanced technology? Ancient documents that rewrite history? No one outside the inner circle seems to know. But the data doesn't lie. The chamber is there. The entrances are blocked, and no one's allowed back in. It's as if the Sphinx, already a silent guardian, is protecting something beneath it. Something the world isn't ready to see, or something someone doesn't want revealed. Scattered throughout Egypt's oldest temples, particularly in Abydos and Dendera, are carvings of a strange symbol that's still stirring debate: the Djet pillar. It looks like a vertical spine stacked with crossbars, almost mechanical in appearance. In fact, some people say it resembles a piece of equipment more than a symbol, something you'd expect to find in a machine, not on an ancient temple wall. To traditional Egyptologists, the Djet represents stability and eternal life. It's usually associated with the backbone of Osiris, the god of the underworld. But why the mechanical look? Why the almost electrical design? Some carvings show it being held upright by priests or even activated in rituals with rays coming out of it. One relief in the Temple of Hathor shows a Djet standing between two mysterious devices. Long tubes with lotus-like ends and serpentine lines. It doesn't look spiritual. It looks like a blueprint. Fringe researchers suggest the Djet was more than symbolic. Some believe it may have been a real device, possibly even part of an energy transmission system. There are even theories, controversial yes, that say the Djet was some sort of ancient power column, used in religious rituals involving sound or resonance. After all, many temples where the Djet appears have unusual acoustic properties. What makes it even stranger is how widespread it is across Egypt, carved and painted in high relief on walls, sarcophagi and ceremonial artifacts. Was it just art? Or was it a forgotten science, expressed in the only language the ancients had? Even the name Djet, which scholars link to eternity, feels like a clue. Something that was meant to last forever. Something embedded into the stone itself, waiting for someone to decode it. In early 2021, archaeologists exploring the necropolis of Taposiris Magna, just west of Alexandria, opened a sealed burial and found something that immediately sparked headlines: a mummy with a solid gold tongue placed carefully in its mouth. Unlike most mummified remains, which are often found stripped or looted, this one was intact. Even stranger, the body wasn't alone. Several others were found nearby, many with golden elements. Eye amulets, funerary masks, gilded decorations, but the tongue stood out. Thin, shiny, and shaped perfectly to sit in the mouth. Not ornamental, but intentional. Why give a mummy a golden tongue? Some scholars believe it was meant to help the dead speak in the afterlife, to communicate with Osiris during judgment. That's what the texts suggest. But others aren't convinced. After all, golden tongues aren't a common tradition in Egyptian burials. In fact, only a few cases have ever been found. So who were these people, and why were they buried with tools no one else had? More speculative researchers think it points to a secretive priesthood or elite cult, one that knew things not recorded in official history. Could these have been oracles? Individuals meant to speak divine words from another world? The craftsmanship of the tongue itself supports the idea. It's thin, yet durable. Refined. Created with extreme care. Authorities released a handful of photos, then went silent. No full excavation report, no exhibit. Just a few snapshots of a gold tongue and a tightly wrapped body staring into the unknown. One thing is certain. Whoever this person was, they were meant to be heard. Not in this world maybe, but somewhere. Saqqara has always been one of Egypt's most active burial sites. But in 2020, during an excavation just south of the Step Pyramid, archaeologists uncovered a set of coffins that caused more questions than answers. Among the dozens of mummies found in sealed shafts were a few that stood out. Long, slender limbs, elongated skulls, and faces preserved with strange, expressionless masks. Now these mummies weren't labeled as royalty or priests. No names were carved into their coffins, yet the burials were pristine, untouched for over 2,500 years, with fine linen wrappings and polished wooden sarcophagi. When researchers took initial scans of the bodies, some features looked off. The skulls were unusually large at the top, narrowing at the chin, creating a kind of teardrop shape that didn't match typical human anatomy. In X-rays, even the bone density and structure seemed unusual. To be clear, no official source is calling them alien. but the visual similarities are hard to ignore. They don't resemble any known group from ancient Egypt. Some scientists suggested disease or deformity. Others proposed intentional skull shaping, yet the usual indicators of binding or cultural body modification weren't present. So who were they? One theory is that they were foreign diplomats or members of a secretive sect that practiced unknown rituals. Another posits that they weren't entirely human, perhaps a genetically distinct population or something older than dynastic Egypt itself. What makes the whole thing even stranger is the lack of follow-up. The discovery was headline news, and then it just stopped. No detailed autopsies released, no full reports. It's as if the entire thing was quickly wrapped up, boxed and hidden away. The images, though, are real, and once you've seen them, they're hard to forget. In the Temple of Hathor at Dendera, there's a carving that has fascinated scholars, astronomers, and mystery hunters for over a century. It's circular, dense, and packed with strange symbols, animals, star clusters, humanoid forms. It's called the Dendera Zodiac, and it's one of the oldest known star maps on Earth. The relief isn't decorative. It's a precise celestial chart, carved directly into the ceiling. It shows the signs of the zodiac, constellations and planetary alignments, including configurations that match events thousands of years ago. What's odd is how much it resembles modern star maps. The orbits, positions, and celestial bodies appear in patterns that suggest astronomical knowledge well ahead of its time. Mainstream scholars say the Dendera Zodiac reflects Greek influence during the Ptolemaic period, but others aren't so sure. Some patterns suggest observations that would have required telescopes. Others align with star formations only visible from different hemispheres, and the way it was carved, with extreme symmetry and cosmic balance, doesn't match the surrounding art styles of the era. Some researchers believe it may be a surviving fragment from a much older map, passed down, altered, or even recovered from a lost civilization. There are even stories, though undocumented, of matching star charts found deep in underground chambers. If that's true, the Dendera Zodiac isn't just art. It's a message, a record, maybe even a warning, and it forces us to ask, who were the true astronomers of ancient Egypt, and how far did their knowledge really go? Whether it was drawn from the stars above or something far more mysterious, it remains one of the most advanced celestial carvings ever discovered in stone. Beneath the Great Pyramid of Giza, not inside its massive stone body but carved into the rock below it, lies a structure few people have even heard of. It's been nicknamed the Spiral Chamber, and it doesn't show up on tourist maps or in most history books. But the clues to its existence come from high-precision scanning technology and old excavation notes that were quietly archived and nearly forgotten. Back in the early 2000s, a series of private ground-penetrating radar scans, some conducted by independent researchers, revealed a strange spiral-shaped cavity twisting downward beneath the base of the pyramid. Unlike the straight, functional tunnels typical of Egyptian architecture, this cavity seemed to curve and coil, almost like a helix, deeper into the limestone bedrock. The depth, unknown. The purpose, completely unrecorded. Official Egyptology rarely mentions this. Some say it's just a natural fissure. Others claim it's part of an unfinished tomb. But the shape doesn't fit. It's not just winding. It appears methodical, as if deliberately carved in a spiral. The idea that someone thousands of years ago created this hidden coil beneath the most famous structure on Earth is chilling. So what was it for? One theory suggests a ritual chamber used for initiations tied to the ancient solar cults. Another claims it's part of an energy system, a sort of pressure coil designed to harness Earth's natural frequencies. And yes, the more fringe interpretation suggests something even more dramatic, that this spiral was a kind of vessel chamber, or even a storage space for knowledge meant to be buried and found much later. Whatever the purpose, the chamber remains sealed off. No modern team has been allowed to dig into it. Some believe it was briefly accessed in the late 1990s, but nothing official was ever released. No photos, no reports, just quiet denial. Until someone is allowed to go deeper, the spiral chamber will remain just out of reach, winding silently in the dark beneath a pyramid that still refuses to give up all its secrets. Few areas on Earth are as studied as the Giza Plateau, and yet it still finds ways to surprise even the most seasoned archaeologists. Just a few dozen feet from the Sphinx, buried in a sealed stone cache near the bedrock, researchers discovered something that shouldn't have been there: a set of weapons, knives and blades, not made from metal but from something far more mysterious: quartz crystal. The objects were sharp, perfectly symmetrical, and partially translucent. The craftsmanship was exceptional. Smooth edges, balanced weight, even ornamental carvings etched directly into the crystal. But no known Egyptian dynasty ever mass-produced weaponry from quartz. It's a material that's fragile when mishandled and requires sophisticated tools to shape accurately. So why were they buried near the Sphinx? And who made them? Some archaeologists say they were ceremonial, never meant for battle but instead used in high-level rituals. That would make sense given the proximity to one of Egypt's most sacred structures. Yet others have pointed out the lack of symbolic markings or inscriptions. No cartouches, no royal names, just geometry, clean, cold and precise. Even more bizarre, some of the blades showed no signs of erosion despite being thousands of years old and entombed near limestone-rich ground. This suggests they were sealed in a way to prevent any environmental decay. Someone wanted these objects to survive undisturbed. Theories range from lost technologies to a priesthood that mastered a forgotten art of crystal shaping. More speculative voices even claim these could have been tools from a non-human culture, brought and buried to preserve knowledge, or hide it. Egyptian authorities released only a few official photos. Since then, the weapons have vanished into museum archives with no current public display. What we're left with is the knowledge that, beneath the sand beside the Sphinx, someone once buried weapons too advanced, too pristine, and too out of place to ignore. Just behind the Great Pyramid, nestled between two stone walls, and easy to overlook, is a small fenced-off hole in the ground. It doesn't look like much, but what lies beneath is one of Giza's most baffling and underexplored features. It's called the Osiris shaft, and it descends nearly 100 feet straight down through bedrock into a multi-level underground complex, completely filled with water. 3 chambers, 1 vertical shaft, no inscriptions, no decorations, just rough walls, open space and sarcophagi too large to move without major effort. The lowest level, submerged year-round, contains a massive granite sarcophagus, too wide for the tunnel above it. So the big question is, how did it get there? Mainstream scholars say it's a symbolic tomb dedicated to Osiris, the god of the underworld. But if it was only symbolic, why go through the trouble of carving such a deep and dangerous shaft? Why bury it beneath layers of bedrock in total secrecy? There are no public pathways, no light, no signs. It wasn't meant to be found easily. Some researchers have proposed that the Osiris shaft was part of an initiation chamber for priests or royalty, a kind of spiritual descent into the underworld. Others take the theory further. They believe it was a gateway, not in the science fiction sense of teleportation, but as a physical structure meant to harness Earth's energy and align with the stars, a cosmic connector between this world and something far beyond. When Zahi Hawass first entered the shaft, it was flooded and pitch black. Divers went in with cameras and what they found only raised more questions. Why the massive sarcophagus? Why the silence surrounding the discovery? And what lies beneath the water that no one is talking about? It's one of the deepest man-made structures at Giza, and one of the least understood. A tomb, a temple, or a forgotten doorway to something we've yet to comprehend. The answers might still be buried under the water, waiting. In the ancient city of Avaris, once the bustling capital of the Hyksos dynasty in northern Egypt, archaeologists uncovered something truly strange during a careful excavation of a palace complex. While mapping out the royal courtyard, the team came across several pits arranged in a deliberate pattern. Inside, human hands, right hands, buried on their own, with no accompanying bodies, jewelry or objects. This wasn't a battlefield site, it wasn't a crime scene. Everything about the placement seemed intentional, even ceremonial. The hands had been neatly placed, not dumped. And the fact that they were all right hands was especially notable. Ancient Egyptian records speak of a military tradition where enemy combatants or warriors would surrender a right hand as a way to claim rewards or prove a victory. The findings at Avaris could very well be the physical evidence of this practice, possibly the first real example ever discovered. But the mystery deepens when you look closer at the remains. Some of the hands were exceptionally large, with bone structures that didn't fit the typical size range of the local population. Were they just warriors with above-average builds, outsiders, or something more symbolic? It's important to note that these hands weren't displayed publicly or thrown into the desert. They were buried with care, right within the palace grounds, a place of power. Some researchers think this suggests a ritual or cultural rite, one with spiritual meaning tied to strength, bravery, or even protection. There's no clear answer yet. Since the discovery, the site has been preserved, and scholars continue to study the finds with cautious respect. While some theories lean toward practical explanations, Others believe the presence of such unusually large hands hints at a deeper layer of ancient belief, or perhaps a group of people history didn't fully record. Whatever the truth, the hands at Avaris open a new chapter in understanding how the ancient world marked triumph, conflict and power, in ways that still leave us quietly puzzled today. In 2020, archaeologists working on the west bank of Luxor made a headline-grabbing announcement. They had uncovered 30 previously unknown tombs, tucked away in a hillside not far from the Valley of the Kings. What made this find remarkable wasn't just the number. It was their condition. Many of them were completely untouched. Inside, the tombs held colorful coffins, carved statues, funerary masks, and walls covered in vibrant paintings, scenes that looked like they were finished yesterday. The colors hadn't faded, the inscriptions were clear, and in some tombs, even the burial goods were still in place. Some of the tombs belonged to high priests, others to scribes and workers, not kings or queens but people who kept Egypt running behind the scenes. Yet, the care put into their burials was astonishing. In one chamber, archaeologists found a perfectly intact sarcophagus surrounded by pottery, amulets, and tools. It had never been opened. What's fascinating is how hidden these tombs were. They weren't in plain sight, and they didn't follow the grand axis of royal burials. They were carved into the rock in a more private way, almost secretively. Some believe this was intentional, an attempt to shield them from tomb robbers. Others think it was tied to a local cult or forgotten group that followed its own burial customs. Among the finds were rare papyri, unusually shaped Ushabti figures, and even a burial with a wooden mask unlike any seen before, almost tribal in design. The tombs are now being carefully studied, but most of the discoveries haven't reached the public yet. If these 30 were found in just one season, who knows how many more lie hidden in the cliffs of Luxor. It's a reminder that Egypt still has secrets. And sometimes it's not the pharaohs who surprise us, but the quiet lives of those who served them. When it comes to explaining how the massive stones of the Great Pyramid were moved into place, ramps are one of the most widely accepted theories. But the devil, as they say, is in the details. How exactly would such ramps have been designed? This question has puzzled engineers and archaeologists for decades, leading to a host of ideas ranging from straight ramps to spiraling and zigzagging ones. The simplest version of the theory suggests a straight ramp that extended from the base of the pyramid out into the surrounding desert. Workers could haul the massive limestone blocks, some weighing up to 15 tons, up the incline using sledges and ropes. Sand was likely wetted to reduce friction, as shown by experiments recreating ancient construction techniques. While straightforward, this approach would have required an enormous ramp, stretching up to a mile long, to maintain a manageable slope of around 5 degrees. This design would have used more material than the pyramid itself, and presented logistical headaches in terms of construction and dismantling. Next, there's the zigzag ramp theory, which proposes ramps running up the pyramid's faces in a zigzag pattern. This design would have required less material and provided workers with better access to higher levels. However, critics argue that zigzag ramps could have blocked access to the already completed sections of the pyramid, making construction inefficient. Perhaps the most intriguing variation is the spiral ramp theory, which envisions a ramp coiling around the pyramid as it rose. This design would have allowed for a more compact footprint, avoiding the need for a massive straight ramp stretching into the distance. A spiral ramp could have been dismantled as the pyramid rose, leaving no trace. However, creating stable, consistent inclines on a spiraling ramp would have been a formidable challenge for ancient builders. Each of these theories comes with its own set of benefits and limitations, and the lack of definitive archaeological evidence keeps the debate alive. What we do know is that these ramps, in whatever form they took, were part of a system that relied on sheer human ingenuity and labor, proving that the ancient Egyptians were master planners and problem solvers. Let's step back and consider the simplest explanation: human labor. The ancient Egyptians didn't have cranes or motorized equipment, yet they constructed the Great Pyramid of Giza, an engineering marvel made from over 2 million stone blocks. How did they do it? For centuries, historians believed sheer manpower was the key. Workers used sledges to transport limestone blocks, which could weigh up to 15 tons. To reduce friction, evidence suggests they poured water onto the sand, as seen in ancient paintings and confirmed by modern experiments. By wetting the sand, they halved the effort needed to move these massive stones. But manpower alone wasn't enough. This was a highly organized effort. Archaeological digs have uncovered evidence of a bustling workers' village near Giza, complete with bakeries, breweries, and medical facilities. These weren't slaves as once thought. They were skilled laborers motivated by wages, food, and even national pride. But even this theory leaves questions unanswered. How did they lift those heavy blocks to higher levels of the pyramid? The ramp theories explored earlier provide part of the answer, but even so, the logistics and precision still seem almost superhuman. While ramps and manpower dominate most discussions, another fascinating theory suggests the ancient Egyptians might have floated the stones into place using water. This idea hinges on the proximity of the Nile River and ancient irrigation channels that might have been part of the construction process. According to this theory, the Egyptians used boats or wooden flotation devices to transport stones closer to the pyramid site. Once there, they could have utilized a network of canals and locks to elevate the blocks. Engineers and archaeologists have pointed out the practicality of this approach, as it would dramatically reduce the effort required to move such massive objects. Modern experiments with buoyant systems have shown this is not just plausible but surprisingly efficient. What makes this theory especially intriguing is the evidence for advanced water management systems in ancient Egypt. From sophisticated irrigation to the construction of the Karnak temple's water tanks, the Egyptians were clearly masters of hydrodynamics. While we may never know if floating stones was the key, the sheer ingenuity of this possibility is a reminder of how innovative ancient civilizations could be. Now let's dive into one of the more mysterious and debated theories. The idea that the ancient Egyptians didn't carve the stones at all, they molded them. Proponents of the stone softening hypothesis suggest that the builders may have had access to a chemical or biological process capable of turning stone into a malleable state, allowing it to be shaped and poured like modern concrete. Here's where this fascinating image comes into play. Imagine this. If the ancient Egyptians used such a technique, the resulting blocks could look something like this, smooth yet irregular surfaces, appearing almost fused together. Some researchers have even used computer modeling to propose what molded pyramid blocks might have looked like when hardened, hinting at a similar appearance to these dark gleaming blocks. This theory gains traction from unusual anomalies in the pyramid stones, such as microscopic air bubbles found in some samples, which are rare in naturally quarried rock. What makes this theory shocking is its implications. It would mean the Egyptians possessed knowledge of chemistry thousands of years ahead of its time. While no direct evidence of such a process has been found, the visual and practical appeal of the hypothesis keeps it alive, sparking endless curiosity. Could the ancient Egyptians have developed a liquid stone formula that modern science is yet to rediscover? The Great Pyramid of Giza isn't just a pile of stones, it's a mathematical masterpiece. Its design reflects astonishing precision, sparking endless fascination. For instance, the ratio of its height to the length of its base closely matches the golden ratio, which is 1.618, found throughout nature and art. Was this deliberate, or a coincidence? Many believe the Egyptians understood and intentionally used these proportions. Its alignment with true north is equally impressive, so precise that even modern tools would struggle to replicate it. Experts theorize they used the stars, possibly the North Star, to achieve this. And then there's the Orion's Belt theory. The pyramid's layout mirrors the three stars in Orion's Belt, a constellation tied to Osiris, the god of the afterlife, suggesting a cosmic and spiritual connection. Lastly, there's the pyramid's relationship to pi. Dividing its perimeter by twice its height gives a value remarkably close to 3.14159. Coincidence or evidence of advanced geometry? These mathematical and astronomical marvels make the Great Pyramid not just a physical wonder but a cosmic blueprint, a testament to ancient ingenuity and their connection to the universe. Could the ancient Egyptians have harnessed sound to defy gravity? While it may seem like science fiction, the theory of acoustic levitation suggests they could have used sound waves to lift the massive blocks used to build the pyramids. Modern experiments have shown that focused sound waves can suspend small objects in mid-air, using nothing but vibration and frequency. What if this concept wasn't new but rather rediscovered knowledge that ancient civilizations had mastered? Some researchers point to the precise design of the pyramid's inner chambers as potential amplifiers of sound. The king's chamber, for example, with its massive granite blocks and unusual resonance, may have been more than a simple burial space. It could have served as a tool to amplify specific frequencies. The Egyptians were known for their understanding of harmony, as seen in their music and rituals. Could it be that they extended this knowledge to engineering? Perhaps they used carefully tuned instruments, chants, or other devices to generate the frequencies needed to lift or maneuver the stones. While there's no physical evidence to prove this theory, the possibility of ancient civilizations using sound as a construction tool is both thrilling and humbling. What else might they have known that we've lost over millennia? If sound waves feel like a stretch, imagine this. What if the Egyptians had access to technology that negated gravity altogether? The anti-gravity device theory suggests that they may have used tools or methods to neutralize the immense weight of the limestone and granite blocks. Supporters of this theory often point to strange depictions in Egyptian art, like the Dendera light, a series of carvings that some interpret as representing advanced devices. While mainstream archaeology dismisses these interpretations as symbolic or religious, others believe they are visual clues about forgotten technologies. This theory doesn't just apply to Egypt. Around the world, ancient megalithic sites like Stonehenge or the massive stone blocks of Baalbek also seem to defy the limits of ancient engineering. Were the Egyptians part of a global network of knowledge, or did they independently discover a way to manipulate the forces of gravity? Some even suggest that anti-gravity devices could have been sacred tools, used sparingly and kept hidden for fear of misuse. Skeptics, of course, argue that no evidence of such devices has been found. But for believers, the absence of evidence is just another layer of mystery. Could the ability to control gravity be one of humanity's lost sciences, hidden beneath centuries of history? And now, let's turn the dial of mystery up a notch. Could the pyramids have been built not by the Egyptians of the past but by humans from the future? The time travel theory suggests that the Great Pyramid, with its advanced mathematics, perfect alignment, and unexplained precision, might be the result of knowledge brought back in time. To some, it's the ultimate explanation for the seemingly impossible engineering feats of ancient Egypt. The theory gains traction because the pyramids don't just fit their time, they transcend it. Their alignment with true north, their relationship to mathematical constants like pi and the golden ratio, and their astronomical links to Orion's belt all seem too advanced for a Bronze Age civilization. What if these weren't coincidences but deliberate choices made by people with access to advanced tools and knowledge? Some even speculate that the pyramids were built to withstand the test of time as a message or monument for future generations, a breadcrumb trail left by travelers from an advanced civilization. While the idea of time travel remains firmly in the realm of speculation, it's hard to ignore how the pyramids seem to exist outside their era. Are they merely the result of unparalleled ingenuity, or could they represent something far more extraordinary? Whether the truth is grounded in ancient science or stretches into the fabric of time itself, the Great Pyramid keeps pulling us back, perhaps because it holds secrets even time can't erase. As we dive deeper into the mysteries of the pyramids, one of the most provocative theories emerges: the idea that they were designed or influenced by extraterrestrial beings. The basis of this theory lies in the sheer scale, precision, and complexity of the pyramids. How did a Bronze Age civilization, without cranes, lasers, or modern tools, achieve such seemingly impossible feats? Believers in the alien architect theory point to the alignment of the pyramids with true north, the perfect geometry, and even their connection to astronomical features like Orion's belt, as evidence of knowledge that seems out of reach for the time. One of the most compelling arguments comes from ancient Egyptian texts and carvings. Some of these depict mysterious gods descending from the heavens, often associated with advanced knowledge. Could these figures have been extraterrestrial beings sharing their technology with early humans? Skeptics argue these depictions are purely symbolic, representing deities or natural forces, but the uncanny resemblance of some carvings to spacecraft keeps the theory alive. If aliens were involved, it might explain how these massive structures were built with such precision. But the absence of hard evidence keeps this as one of history's most tantalizing mysteries. If aliens don't satisfy your curiosity, consider another fascinating idea. What if the pyramids were built by giants? Many ancient cultures, from the Bible to Hindu texts, reference races of giants who once walked the earth. Could these beings have been responsible for the construction of the pyramids? The massive limestone and granite blocks, some weighing over 70 tons, seem almost impossible to move with human strength alone. This theory suggests that the so-called impossible tasks may not have been so difficult for beings far larger and stronger than us. Supporters of this theory point to ancient myths and legends that describe giants building great cities, temples, and monuments. In fact, The Greek historian Herodotus, writing in the 5th century BCE, recorded stories of immense laborers constructing the pyramids. While mainstream archaeology attributes the work to skilled human labor, believers in this theory argue that such myths might hold a kernel of truth. The sheer size of the blocks, combined with the lack of evidence for certain tools, leaves just enough room for speculation. Could the giants of legend have left their mark in the sands of Egypt? But what if neither aliens nor giants were involved? What if the builders were human, but part of a civilization far more advanced than we imagine? The theory of lost ancient technologies proposes that the ancient Egyptians, or perhaps a predecessor civilization, had access to tools and knowledge that have since vanished. The precision of the Great Pyramid's construction, from its millimeter-perfect base to its incredibly straight internal shafts, seems difficult to explain with copper tools and sledges. Archaeological discoveries have hinted at advanced knowledge, such as the intricate carvings found in the Serapeum of Saqqara. The massive granite boxes there, cut with laser-like precision, suggest techniques that seem out of place for their time. Some researchers speculate the Egyptians might have used forms of early concrete to mold stones in place, or even employed unknown forms of machinery. Skeptics argue that the sheer skill and labor of the ancient workers could explain these feats, but the idea of forgotten technologies lingers. Could the pyramids be a testament to knowledge so advanced it was lost to time, leaving us only to wonder how far back human ingenuity truly goes? Among the most mysterious theories about the pyramids is their potential connection to Atlantis, the legendary advanced civilization described by Plato. According to the story, Atlantis was a technologically superior society that sank into the ocean thousands of years ago. Supporters of this theory believe that survivors of Atlantis carried their knowledge to Egypt, influencing the design and construction of the pyramids. They argue that the technological and mathematical precision seen in the pyramids might have roots in a civilization more advanced than we imagine for its time. One of the strongest points supporting this theory is the timeline. Plato placed the fall of Atlantis around 9,000 years before his own time, roughly aligning with the end of the last ice age. This is the same period when some researchers suggest early humans might have made significant leaps in technology. Additionally, the connection between Atlantis and Egypt is bolstered by the similarities between the mythological descriptions of Atlantean architecture and the pyramid's monumental scale. While skeptics dismiss Atlantis as a philosophical allegory, believers see the pyramids as physical evidence of a lost chapter in human history, one where Egyptian civilization inherited the knowledge of a drowned empire. From Atlantis to secret societies, another theory takes a darker turn. Some believe the pyramids are deeply connected to the Illuminati, a shadowy global organization often associated with controlling humanity. The theory suggests the pyramids were not only a marvel of engineering, but a symbolic structure tied to a centuries-old conspiracy. The triangular shape of the pyramids, resembling the Illuminati's iconic eye in a triangle symbol, has fueled this speculation. Proponents argue that the alignment of the pyramids, their astronomical connections, and their mysterious chambers all point to an intention far beyond mere tomb building. They see the pyramids as part of a larger, global network of power and knowledge. This idea is extended by pointing to other pyramid-like structures around the world, such as the ones in Mesoamerica and China, suggesting a shared or manipulated origin. Could it be that the pyramids are messages left by an ancient organization that later evolved into the Illuminati? While mainstream historians roll their eyes at this idea, the theory's allure lies in its boldness. It connects one of history's greatest monuments to a web of secrecy and control that stretches into modern times. In any case, the pyramids remain an enigma, and every theory, from ramps and sound waves to aliens, Atlantis, and the Illuminati, adds another layer of fascination. Each idea reflects our endless curiosity about the past and our place in the universe. The mysteries of how the pyramids were built are mind-blowing, but their secrets don't end there. Get ready to dive into the most unexpected, bizarre, and fascinating facts about these ancient wonders. You won't believe what's next. The Great Pyramid of Giza is a marvel of engineering, but what's even more astonishing is how fast it was built. It's estimated that this colossal structure, made from over 2 million stone blocks, was completed in just 20 years. Let's put that into perspective. That's roughly one block every 2 minutes, 24 hours a day for 2 decades. And we're not talking about small stones here. Some blocks weighed as much as 15 tons. Imagine moving that much material so quickly. To grasp the scale, consider this. The total volume of the pyramid is about 88 million cubic feet. That's enough stone to build a wall 10 feet high and 1 foot thick, stretching across the United States from coast to coast. And if that's not impressive enough, the pyramid's base covers an area of 13 acres. Roughly the size of 7 city blocks. All of this was accomplished without modern machinery or tools, relying solely on human ingenuity, coordination, and sheer determination. For an incredible 3,800 years, the Great Pyramid of Giza held the record as the tallest man-made structure in the world. Standing at 481 feet tall, now it's 450 feet due to erosion and the missing capstone, it wasn't surpassed until the Lincoln Cathedral in England was completed in 1311. To put it in perspective, this ancient marvel was taller than a modern 40-story building. What's even more impressive is how it was constructed using nothing but simple tools and manpower. The pyramid's size and symmetry were achieved with such precision that it continues to amaze architects and engineers today. For nearly 4 millennia, it stood as a towering symbol of human ingenuity, dominating the skyline of its time. While the Great Pyramid's height is astonishing, the story of its stones is equally fascinating. The limestone blocks that make up much of the structure are filled with fossils and date back over 2 billion years to an ancient seabed. These stones, quarried locally, are some of the oldest materials ever used in construction. The granite blocks in the King's Chamber, however, were sourced from Aswan, 500 miles away. Transporting these massive stones, some weighing over 70 tons, remains a logistical mystery. What's striking is how these ancient materials still hold their strength after millennia, silently bearing witness to Earth's deep history. If you think the height and materials are impressive, wait until you hear about the precision. The Great Pyramid's base is nearly a perfect square, with less than an 8-inch variation across its 756-foot sides. Even modern buildings struggle to achieve this level of accuracy without advanced equipment. What's more, the pyramid is aligned almost perfectly to true north, with an error of just 0.05 degrees. Such precision was likely achieved using the stars, demonstrating the ancient Egyptians' advanced knowledge of astronomy and geometry. This attention to detail is why the Great Pyramid remains one of the most extraordinary feats of engineering ever accomplished. One of the most fascinating facts about the Great Pyramid is its precise geographic location. The latitude of the Great Pyramid's summit is 29.9792 degrees north. Intriguingly, this number matches the speed of light in a vacuum, 299,792,458 meters per second. While this could be a coincidence, it's a striking one that has sparked debates about the extent of ancient Egyptian knowledge. Did they possess a deeper understanding of mathematics, astronomy, or physics than we give them credit for? What makes this even more fascinating is their exceptional surveying and engineering skills. The pyramid's placement wasn't arbitrary, it's perfectly aligned to true north, with an error of less than 0.05 degrees, as I mentioned. The possibility that ancient builders might have encoded such knowledge into their structures remains an enduring and captivating mystery. After years of research, historians and scientists have recreated what everyday life in ancient Egypt might have looked like. These images tell the story. The first shows life along the Nile, where farmers harvest crops, fishermen cast nets, and traders exchange goods. In the background, towering pyramids and temples remind us of Egypt's grandeur. The second image reveals a quieter scene. Villagers tend crops and fish by the river, with simple mud brick houses and a solitary pyramid in the distance. It's a glimpse into the lives of ordinary people who sustained this great civilization. The third focuses on workers at the foot of the Great Pyramid, standing in formation. Their collective effort built one of history's most iconic structures, and this is just the beginning. Now we'll dive deeper into the mysteries and wonders of ancient Egypt. Let's begin. The Great Pyramid of Giza is not just an architectural marvel, it's a masterpiece of cosmic precision. Perfectly aligned with the cardinal points, north, south, east, and west, it deviates by less than a fraction of a degree, a feat that still baffles modern scientists. But what's even more intriguing is its connection to the stars. Many researchers believe the pyramid aligns with the Orion constellation, specifically the stars forming Orion's belt. In ancient Egyptian mythology, these stars were associated with Osiris, the god of the afterlife. This celestial alignment wasn't just symbolic, it was believed to be a gateway for the pharaoh's soul to ascend to the heavens. Standing beneath the pyramid's towering presence, one can't help but marvel at the blend of engineering genius and spiritual devotion that shaped its construction. This fascination with the stars, however, didn't begin with the Great Pyramid. Its predecessor, the Pyramid of Djoser, laid the foundation for such astronomical ambitions. Long before the Great Pyramid reached for the stars, the Pyramid of Djoser marked a monumental leap in architectural innovation. Built over 4,600 years ago in Saqqara, this step pyramid wasn't just the first of its kind. It was the first large-scale stone structure in human history. Designed by the legendary architect Imhotep, the pyramid was a departure from traditional mastabas, the flat-roofed tombs of earlier dynasties. Its tiered structure, rising in 6 distinct steps, symbolized a staircase to the heavens, mirroring Egypt's spiritual journey toward immortality. Imhotep's ingenuity didn't stop there. He introduced advanced techniques such as precisely cut limestone blocks, which would inspire future pyramid builders. While the Pyramid of Djoser showcased technical mastery, it also hinted at Egypt's growing ambition to leave an eternal mark on the world. Yet, even as these grand monuments stood the test of time, Egypt's rulers sought hidden sanctuaries for their final resting places, a desire that culminated in the Valley of the Kings. The Valley of the Kings, a barren stretch of desert near Luxor, is shrouded in mystery, with many of its secrets still buried beneath the sands. This sacred site served as the final resting place for Egypt's New Kingdom pharaohs, including the famed Tutankhamun. Unlike the towering pyramids, these tombs were hidden deep within the cliffs, their entrances camouflaged to protect the treasures inside. Yet despite these efforts, many were looted in antiquity. However, archaeologists believe that dozens of tombs remain undiscovered, their chambers holding untold treasures and insights into ancient Egyptian life and beliefs. Each excavation in the valley raises more questions than answers, fueling speculation about what remains hidden. Could there be a lost tomb belonging to a powerful queen, or a forgotten pharaoh? The Valley of the Kings is a reminder that Egypt's ancient past is far from fully revealed. Among the known rulers, one stands out, a woman who broke barriers to claim the throne. Before Hatshepsut's celebrated reign, Sobekneferu paved the way as Egypt's first confirmed female pharaoh. Ruling at the end of the 12th dynasty, around 1806 to 1802 BCE, Sobekneferu shattered traditions by stepping into a role long dominated by men. Her name, meaning the beauty of Sobek, reflected her devotion to the crocodile god, a symbol of strength and fertility. Sobekneferu cleverly blended male and female iconography in her representations, appearing in royal regalia traditionally reserved for kings, but without completely abandoning her femininity. Though her reign was relatively short, she left an indelible mark on Egypt's history, commissioning impressive architectural works, including additions to the labyrinth at Hawara, and temples dedicated to Sobek. Unlike many pharaohs, her tomb remains undiscovered, adding to the mystery of her life and legacy. Sobekneferu's groundbreaking reign opened the door for future female leaders, proving that power transcended gender. But while she revered the crocodile, one later ruler shocked Egypt with his disdain for another sacred animal, cats. Cats were sacred in ancient Egypt, symbolizing protection, grace, and even divinity, as they were associated with the goddess Bastet. Yet one pharaoh, Cambyses II of Persia, who briefly ruled Egypt after his conquest, reportedly loathed them. Historical accounts suggest Cambyses exploited Egypt's reverence for cats during his invasion by ordering his soldiers to use live cats as shields, knowing Egyptian warriors wouldn't dare harm the animals. This cunning strategy allegedly contributed to his victory. Cambyses' disdain for cats stood in stark contrast to the Egyptian adoration of these creatures, which often lived in households as cherished family members. The pharaohs themselves revered cats, with some being buried alongside mummified felines as guardians in the afterlife. Cambyses' oddity highlights the complex relationship between rulers and the symbols of their time. But if cats were protectors in life and death, another small creature carried an even deeper spiritual significance: the sacred scarab beetle. The scarab beetle, a humble insect, held immense symbolic weight in ancient Egypt. Representing the sun's daily rebirth, scarabs were linked to Khepri, the god of creation and renewal, who is said to roll the sun across the sky much like the beetle rolls its dung. These amulets were among the most popular in ancient Egypt, placed in tombs, worn as jewelry, and even used as official seals. Scarabs were not just symbols of life, but also protection, as they were believed to ward off evil and ensure safe passage to the afterlife. Intricately crafted scarab artifacts often bore inscriptions, prayers, or royal names, serving both decorative and spiritual purposes. Their enduring popularity highlights the Egyptians' deep connection to nature and their ability to find divine meaning in even the smallest creatures. While scarabs symbolized life cycles, the Nile itself became a vital measure of survival, monitored closely by a remarkable tool known as the Nylometer. In ancient Egypt, survival depended on the Nile. Every year, its flooding would deposit nutrient-rich silt along the riverbanks, ensuring abundant crops. But too much or too little water could spell disaster. To predict the river's behavior, Egyptians relied on a remarkable tool, the Nylometer. This ingenious device, essentially a stone staircase or a column marked with measurements, allowed priests and officials to gauge the height of the floodwaters. If the Nile rose too high, they prepared for destruction. If it was too low, famine loomed. The Nylometer wasn't just practical, it was sacred. Priests associated its readings with divine blessings or warnings, believing that the gods controlled the river's flow. These measurements also influenced taxes, as higher floods meant more fertile land, and thus, greater wealth. The meticulous tracking of the Nile's behavior demonstrates Egypt's reliance on both science and spirituality. Just as the Nylometer monitored the lifeblood of Egypt, its rulers turned to another symbol of prestige, their floating palaces. The Nile wasn't just Egypt's lifeline, it was also its grand stage. Pharaohs and nobility traveled the river in elaborate boats that were nothing short of floating palaces. These vessels, crafted from cedar wood imported from Lebanon, were adorned with gold, precious stones, and intricately carved designs. Some even featured shaded pavilions, plush seating, and vibrant sails, blending luxury with functionality. These boats weren't merely for transport, they were symbols of power. Pharaohs used them for religious ceremonies, traveling to temples along the Nile, or to showcase their wealth during festivals. One such vessel, believed to belong to Pharaoh Khufu, was discovered near the Great Pyramid. Measuring over 140 feet in length, it reflects the craftsmanship and ambition of ancient Egyptian shipbuilders. The Nile wasn't just a river, it was a highway of culture and commerce. As these boats glided across its waters, they carried the stories of Egypt's artistry, an artistry that also gave us Egyptian blue. Egyptian blue, the world's first synthetic pigment, is a testament to the ingenuity of ancient Egyptian artisans. Known as the color of eternity, this vivid hue was created by heating a mixture of silica, copper, lime, and natron at high temperatures. The result was a vibrant blue that adorned everything from statues to wall paintings. It wasn't just a decorative element, Egyptian blue held deep symbolic meaning, representing the heavens and the Nile. What's even more fascinating is its durability. Fragments of Egyptian blue have survived for millennia, still radiating their original brilliance. Recent studies have revealed another secret. This pigment emits near-infrared light when exposed to certain wavelengths, leading to its modern use in nanotechnology and security systems. The legacy of Egyptian blue highlights the Egyptians' ability to innovate, blending art with science. As we marvel at their mastery of materials, we turn to another area of their brilliance, their advanced understanding of medicine, beginning with dentistry. Dental care in ancient Egypt was both fascinating and practical. Despite their advanced civilization, Egyptians faced significant dental issues due to their diet. Bread, a staple food, often contained sand and grit from grinding stones which severely wore down teeth, causing pain and infections. Dentists, known as doctors of the tooth, treated such problems with surprising ingenuity. Remedies included filling cavities with honey and resin, using herbs to soothe pain, and even performing extractions. Evidence of prosthetic teeth has been found in mummies, showcasing their attempts at restoring oral function. The Ebers Papyrus, one of the oldest medical texts, contains detailed descriptions of treatments for dental ailments, highlighting their deep understanding of medicine. However, dental health was just one aspect of their medical practices. The Egyptians' resourcefulness extended to using everyday items in healing, such as bread, which they transformed from food into a medicinal remedy. To the ancient Egyptians, bread wasn't just a source of sustenance, it was also a tool for healing. Recognizing its absorbent and adhesive properties, they used moldy bread to treat wounds. Modern science has since confirmed that this practice had merit, as certain molds produce penicillin-like substances that help combat infections. Bread was also used in poultices mixed with honey and herbs, applied to cuts and sores to prevent infection and promote healing. Its versatility made it a staple in both the kitchen and the medical toolkit. Egyptians believed that bread, infused with sacred prayers, held divine healing properties. This blend of practicality and spirituality reflected their approach to medicine, combining empirical observation with deep religious beliefs. While bread was a household remedy, Egyptians had another staple beverage that played a pivotal role in their health and healing practices: beer. Beer was more than just a popular drink in ancient Egypt. It was a cornerstone of their medicinal practices. Brewed from barley and emmer wheat, beer was rich in nutrients and often safer to drink than water, which could be contaminated. Egyptians incorporated beer into over 100 medical recipes, using it as a base for medicines to treat everything from digestive issues to fevers. It was often mixed with herbs and spices to enhance its healing properties. Beer also had spiritual significance, as it was believed to be a gift from the goddess Hathor, offering both physical and emotional comfort. Laborers building the pyramids received daily rations of beer, not only for sustenance but also as a form of reward. This dual-purpose beverage, bridging health and culture, showcased the Egyptians' ability to extract utility from the simplest resources. From beer to bread, their innovation knew no bounds, as we see in their remarkable development of the first known prosthetics. Ancient Egypt's ingenuity extended far beyond monumental architecture and intricate art. It even reached the realm of prosthetics. Among the earliest known examples of artificial body parts is a wooden prosthetic toe, discovered on the foot of a mummified noblewoman from over 3,000 years ago. This remarkable artifact wasn't just cosmetic, it was fully functional, designed to help its wearer walk naturally. Crafted with meticulous detail, it even included a flexible hinge for mobility, showcasing an impressive understanding of biomechanics for the time. The creation of such prosthetics highlights the Egyptians' advanced knowledge of anatomy and their commitment to improving lives, even in an era without modern tools. More than practical, this innovation also had spiritual significance, ensuring the body remained intact for the afterlife. In ancient Egypt, even physical enhancements were imbued with divine purpose. This emphasis on appearance and symbolism was particularly evident in the regalia of pharaohs, where every detail carried meaning, none more unique than the ceremonial fake tail. At first glance, the ornate attire of ancient Egyptian pharaohs may appear purely decorative, but every piece served to convey power, divinity, and authority. Among these unique elements was the ceremonial fake tail, often crafted from animal hide, which pharaohs wore during significant rituals and public events. This tail, designed to mimic that of a bull, symbolized strength, fertility, and the ruler's divine connection to the god Apis, the sacred bull of Egyptian mythology. Wearing this tail, the pharaoh embodied the protective and procreative power essential for maintaining Egypt's prosperity and cosmic order. It wasn't just a fashion statement, but a powerful declaration of their role as a bridge between mortals and the gods. This dedication to symbolic imagery underscores the Egyptians' mastery of visual communication. Yet, while most pharaohs adhered to tradition, one would boldly rewrite Egypt's religious and cultural framework, altering its course forever. Let's explore the extraordinary reign of the pharaoh who changed religion. In a land steeped in tradition and polytheism, one pharaoh dared to defy centuries of religious practice. Akhenaten, originally known as Amenhotep IV, radically altered Egypt's spiritual landscape during his 17-year reign in the 14th century BCE. He established a monotheistic worship centered on Aten, the sun disk, proclaiming it as the sole god. This bold move dismantled the traditional pantheon of Egyptian deities and shifted power away from the influential priests of Amun. Akhenaten even built a new capital city, Akhenaten, modern-day Amarna, dedicated to his revolutionary religion. While his reign was marked by artistic innovation and the introduction of more naturalistic depictions in art, his reforms were not universally embraced. After his death, his successors quickly dismantled his changes, restoring the old gods and erasing his name from records. Despite this, Akhenaten's radical ideas left a profound legacy, challenging the very core of Egyptian beliefs. His story of ambition and change starkly contrasts with that of a pharaoh whose reign spanned decades, earning him a place in history as Egypt's longest-serving ruler. If Akhenaten's reign was marked by upheaval, that of Pharaoh Pepi II was defined by stability and longevity. Ascending to the throne as a young boy during the 6th dynasty, Pepi II ruled for an astonishing 94 years, beginning in 2278 BCE. His reign, one of the longest in human history, witnessed remarkable continuity, though not without challenges. Pepi II faced increasing decentralization of power, as local governors grew more influential and less dependent on the central authority of the pharaoh. Despite these difficulties, he maintained Egypt's traditions, overseeing a period of relative peace and prosperity. Stories about Pepi II also hint at his eccentricity, such as one tale describing how he kept flies at bay by surrounding himself with honey-coated servants. However, his exceptionally long reign may have contributed to the eventual decline of the Old Kingdom as succession planning became uncertain toward the end of his life. In ancient Egypt, status and beauty were intertwined and every detail of appearance reflected one's place in society. For the elite, even their nails were an opportunity to display wealth and refinement. Archaeological evidence suggests that artificial nails were crafted from gold and precious materials, symbolizing luxury and exclusivity. These extensions weren't just ornamental, they served as status symbols, differentiating the upper class from the laboring masses, whose hands showed the marks of hard work. Some mummies have been discovered with these elaborate adornments intact, a testament to their importance, even in the afterlife. This obsession with beauty and symbolism permeated all aspects of life, from ornate jewelry to detailed makeup routines. Yet, beyond aesthetic enhancements, the ingenuity of ancient Egyptians also extended to practical innovations. Among their many contributions to civilization was the invention of one of the first security systems, the lock and key. Long before modern locks safeguarded valuables, the ancient Egyptians devised a wooden pin tumbler lock, a groundbreaking security innovation for its time. These locks consisted of a wooden bolt fitted with movable pins, which could only be released by inserting a specially shaped wooden key. Simple yet effective, this mechanism secured doors, chests, and storage rooms, demonstrating the Egyptians' advanced understanding of mechanical engineering. This early lock system not only protected possessions but also symbolized trust and authority, as keys often represented a person's responsibility over a space or treasure. The use of locks highlights the Egyptians' ability to create solutions that were both functional and symbolic. Just as they sought to secure their physical belongings, they also sought to secure their spiritual legacy. One fascinating example of this is the use of Ushabtis, figurines that served as eternal servants, ensuring that no task would go undone in the afterlife. In the intricate tapestry of ancient Egyptian beliefs, the afterlife was not just a place of rest, but one of ongoing work. To ease the burdens of their spiritual journey, the Egyptians devised a clever solution, Ushabtis. These small figurines, often made of faience, stone, or wood, were placed in tombs to serve as substitutes for the deceased in the afterlife's laborious tasks. Inscribed with spells from the Book of the Dead, Ushabtis were activated to perform duties such as farming or irrigation whenever the deceased was summoned by the gods. Wealthy individuals and royalty often included hundreds of these figurines in their tombs, ensuring they would never lack for assistance. Beyond their practical purpose, Ushabtis were also works of art, adorned with intricate details that showcased the craftsmanship of their makers. These figurines served as a testament to the Egyptians' desire to control and prepare for every aspect of their eternal existence. Just as they sought perfection in the afterlife, their earthly monuments reflected the same ambition. This pursuit of perfection is strikingly evident in the original appearance of their pyramids, which were once dazzlingly white. That's about it. Write in the comments which fact about ancient Egypt seemed the most interesting to you. For more useful information, watch other videos.